Hi everybody, this is Andreas, Business Coach. Today I'm talking to Colin Bielckus, and he runs the Outsourced Finance Director and also Avenue Business Services. And I wanted to learn a bit more about his journey, of how he created this business and how's it all going. So, Colin, thanks for seeing me.
Good morning, Andreas.
Good morning. Yeah, nice to meet you, and thanks for talking to me. I just wanted to learn a bit more, and your business, yourself. So, how did it all start?
Recessions have covered my life one way or another since I left university. I came out of university in the middle of a recession. I'd done a degree in chemistry. Two people offered me a job. One was in insurance, one was an accountancy firm.
Right.
I became an accountant by accident more than anything. Between insurance and accountancy, the difference was the insurance would have taken me up to Mill Hill in North London.
Yeah.
Accountancy, originally I was interviewed at the office in London, but they had an office in Winchester.
Right.
So I could actually live at home and commute up to Winchester because I lived in Southampton at the time.
Okay.
So for a poor, impoverished ex-student, it seemed to be much the easiest option.
Yeah.
So, and the accidental accountant.
Yeah, okay, good. And did you enjoy it from day one? Did you thought it was the right choice?
Probably not. It was one of those things where you started to think, am I making the right choice, etc., etc., etc. But we had some interesting characters in the firm, so you went more or less along a lot of the time, more for the hijinks that happened during the day rather than the actual work itself.
Okay. So how long did you work for the accountancy then before you actually then started to play with the idea of starting your own firm?
You get to a point where there's 4 or 5 of you scrabbling for one role.
Yep.
And that's where I got, and I decided I wasn't going to be the one that got it.
Yep.
I moved on from there down to a firm in Fareham, small local firm. The local firm was looking for a manager but partner designate.
Yeah.
So I went in believing I was going to become a partner in a number of years, which is what happened.
So you became a partner in 1996?
In 1996, and I was there until I moved out on my own. And I've been out on my own since 2002.
In 2002. And so the decision then to leave the company and to be no longer a partner in the company, then do what on your own? What was the next step for you?
The other partners and myself, there was a difference in opinion in what accountancy was going to look like in the future.
Yeah.
They wanted to do one thing, and that really wasn't where I was heading. So it seemed easiest that I retired, quote unquote, and took part of the firm, part of the client load with me. Yeah. So we became 2 separate firms. That was the original Avenue Business Services.
Oh, I see. Okay.
A typical accountant probably is the person that comes in, does your year-end figures, talks to the Inland Revenue, does your tax return. And frankly, if I never did a set of statutory accounts ever again, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Because I found what wakes me up in the morning, what gets me going, is problems and solving problems.
All right.
Having decided that, and probably over the years, I'd already got into that anyway.
Yeah.
So the clients that I'd taken with me were clients I was probably rolling my sleeves up and getting involved with.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So they needed a lot of assistance. Yeah.
That's right. So people don't understand numbers, don't understand the finance side. So that knowledge I could bring to their situation and help them actually get through that and out into a better place.
Yeah. Okay. And how did that go?
Very successfully. We grew and grew and grew, and by 2008 I had probably more money than I knew what to do with. And then the recession came along.
The next recession.
The next recession. And
what happened
at that point I had just bought into one of my clients.
You invested in their business?
Yes, I had invested in their business. It was a travel agent.
Yeah.
And recessions and Icelandic volcanoes don't mix.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
and the net effect is that it went spectacularly bust. And one of the saddest experiences of my life was having to fire 15 people a week before Christmas, a couple of weeks before Christmas.
Yeah. So the whole company went down, yeah?
Yeah. And the annoying thing was we'd virtually sold most of it, and the bank pulled the plug anyway.
All right. So the bank couldn't wait for that to happen?
The bank, we always had very, very chunky cash flows. So we were getting sort of hundreds of thousands in and hundreds of thousands out.
Yeah.
And the bank, bless them, waited till we got sort of 90-something thousand pound in and then just pulled the plug.
Yeah.
Which meant that they got the money.
Yeah. They
And
didn't care about
the directors picked up all the personal guarantees.
Yes.
So I ended up on being the only one of the active directors who actually had money, meant I paid for most of it as well.
Yeah, so you paid off your...
So including the loans I put in, etc., 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 personal guarantees, etc., it was in excess of £300,000.
And how did you recover from that? What was the next step for you?
Realistically, it put me in a very dark place for a while. Probably the next 2 or 3 years, it was more going through the motions rather than actually being dynamic or overcoming it.
So it hit you that hard?
It really did. It really dragged me down.
Yeah.
And there was always that little voice in your mind going on, you know, what could you have done differently, etc., etc.,
It was almost like the sinking of the Titanic,
Yeah. Not only did I, but 2 other clients naturally ceased
from Avenue Business Services.
From Avenue Business Services. One was a subsidiary of a German business, which I was acting FD in.
Yeah.
But when that ceased, that was a major chunk of income had gone.
Yeah.
Likewise, I was a non-exec director on a national business.
Yeah.
I was the head of the audit committee. So that one, I jumped before I was pushed.
Yeah.
And in about a year, 2 years after I left, it closed to new business.
All right.
And it's only just recently reopened to new business.
Okay, wow. So that left you really in the ditch then?
So all of that, that meant that I'd lost something in the region of £5,000 or £6,000 worth of income a month, light.
Just straight off.
Just gone. And somebody had taken 300 grand out of my bank.
Nice one. So
an interesting place to be.
So that really obviously hit you very hard.
Very
massive
hard.
Impact on you personally.
And it was mentally a very, very black place.
Yeah.
The worst thing about networking, of course, is most of the time you network when you've got time, not when you need to.
Yeah.
So because I'd been so busy in the period prior to the recession, I cut back on the networking because there wasn't time to do the networking as everything else.
So all your contacts were gone
all
as well?
the contacts were gone as well. So
you started from
you
scratch.
start again from scratch.
Right.
You go back to the beginning. And one of the earliest people I met through networking was the person who's become my life coach.
Right.
And she dug me out of a very, very deep place in my own head.
Okay.
And she's taught me that I can be me again.
Yeah, good. And how many years did it take you from actually going bust until you actually started to get going again?
So it's probably 2011 before I turned the corner.
Right.
And it's really started coming back together again properly from about 2015.
Wow, okay. So massive knock-on effect. And you were at what point are you now then? So you have started to rebuild, started to get the connection again through the networking.
The networking's doing wonderful.
And you launched, obviously, you know.
Then the Outsourced Finance Director brand, because one of the things with Avenue Business Services, because it was accountancy and I was doing that, you weren't actually telling people what you were doing.
Yeah.
So that led, well, let's do the rebrand, let's see what we can do, let's put that lot together. Then the next thing that comes on from that is you think, well, what's the actual offering? So you think, right, there's the finance director bit, because people just do have difficulties in understanding money. So I can bring that. Then that leads to you thinking, well, I've done that for 40 years, I've done it well, I've done it badly.
Yeah.
So therefore, why don't I tell people I can do that? So that then brings a mentoring role within it.
Yeah.
So do I just want to tell people what I know, or do I want to help people understand how to run their own business?
Yeah. So what would you say would be one of the biggest piece of advice you could give to somebody who was facing a similar situation?
It's very easy to say don't give up, but it probably is one of the most difficult things to do, is to not give up.
Yeah. Do you feel that that was not something that you did, but that what you could have done that would have helped the situation? Did you give up at one stage, do you think?
I think I probably did. It was so much eating away.
Yeah. So you just thought,
Yeah.
I just want to walk away from it.
Yeah.
I just had enough.
Yeah.
But do you say, keep going, keep doing it?
And get yourself a life coach.
Yeah. So what would you say is one of the highlights then coming out of all of that?
Not too long ago, in a coaching type situation, watching somebody change their mind. They'd made a business decision. We talked through the business decision, and then there was I watched the light come on in the eyes. I don't want to do that, he said. And that made that very much worthwhile. It's wonderful when you get situations like that.
Yeah. So is there anything coming up that you think is worthwhile mentioning while you're talking to an audience?
Okay. On the Outsourced Finance Director website, which is www.the-ofd.com, there are two blogs. There's a blog of 10 business challenges that have been written by experts, and I believe you're going to help me with part of one of the second series.
Yes.
People who are experts in their field, and so there's a lot of information that people can have. People who've been there, done it, can bring something to the party.
Yeah.
There's also another little blog there, which is me just letting off steam. And so if you like somebody who's massively opinionated and slightly amusing, then please sign up for it.
Well, it's been smashing talking to you, Colin. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And for your honesty. And for you guys out there, again, some really good lessons there. By the way, the book that Colin mentioned is The Chimp Paradox by Professor Steve Peters. If you're ever interested to read it, it's very good. It talks about the little voice in your head that tells you not to do stuff or to do stuff that is naughty. So have a read of that. And also remember that finance is important, because finance is the language of your business. If you don't know how a business talks to you, then you don't really run a business. So learn all about finance. Thank you very much. I will speak to you next week. Bye-bye.